Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be showing you a quick tip to go ahead and create some random civilian air traffic. Now there's a bunch of different scenario reasons why you would do this. Generally it's just to frustrate the player, but I think it's kind of fun too. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and add some aircraft to each one of these random airports that I've created. One thing you want to watch out for with the aircraft, by the way, is double check to confirm that the aircraft are going to have enough range to hit any of the airports that you're going to be dealing with in the area. Otherwise, you're going to run into kind of an interesting problem. You'll see what I mean if you try it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and drag a box around all the possible airports we can fly to. Then what I'm going to do is press Control F11, and I'm going to have the option to go ahead and create myself a quick little mission here. Whoops, helps out when you do that. You don't deselect the airport that you're trying to select. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Random Chaos. I think that's a pretty good way to name it. We'll come down here to where it says Ferry. That's going to be our lucky option. Press the OK button. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go up to Mission Settings. We're going to set this to Random. Random is a lot of fun because it basically makes them go wee in a kind of a random order, which is exactly what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reduce the flight size to 1. You can get a little chaotic here if you want. I'm going to leave cruise. That works perfectly fine for me. I'm going to leave all these options out because I don't really need them. Go over to MCON. We're dealing with civvy aircraft. So of course, we're going to flip on their radars just to annoy everybody just a little bit. And now we get to the tricky part. We're going to go over to units, and you can see I have a bunch of different aircraft all spread out through all the different airports here. So if you go to the aircraft themselves, I'll go ahead and grab this group of Airbuses here. You can come down here and hit Ready Selected AC. Now, one of the buttons you're going to have here is Enable Quick. If this is not enabled, that's usually the universal sign for, hey, you forgot to do something. In this case, what is the thing we usually forgot to do? If you actually press Control-Shift-F9 real fast, you probably forgot to set the quick turnaround to yes. Otherwise, again, if we deal with just fighters, we can leave it on this. But if you don't do this step, you're not going to have as much chaos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all those aircraft there, open up my 707s. This is the easiest way, by the way, to ready these. We can come in here. We can do passengers, enable quick, ready immediately. Go toss in my 707s. Yeah, I know they wouldn't use 707s deal. Come in here. Passengers looks pretty good. We'll enable the quick on that one too. Again, we're just trying to create as much chaos as possible. Come in here. Let's go ahead and grab all these. And obviously, you can set different ready times if you want to stagger their takeoff. It actually works really, really well because you can say be ready in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes for each one of these aircraft. And that way they kind of distribute a little bit more spread out because one of the downsides to the method I'm going to show you here, as you're going to see in a second, is it tends to create quite a mess. Quite a mess is putting it very lightly there. So let's go ahead and push this one here, enable quick. Again, like I said, we're just trying to make sure that we keep these skies filled with airplanes. Ready selected aircraft, I'll put them in the ferry, why not? Enable quick, looks good to me, looks lovely. All right, and that's it. That's all we have to do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unpause. So what's going to happen now, of course, is all these aircraft are immediately going to start taxiing. They're going to start up their engines simultaneously. Somehow their inertial guidance systems are going to load pretty much right away. They're going to taxi up to the thing, and then they're going to go, hey, you know what we should do? We should all go in the air at the same time and make air traffic controllers in this entire region insane. So you'll notice moments later, all these aircraft just start taking themselves off. If I click that one right there, I can see he just went up and climbed up just a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward. He's kind of doing his little thing here. And look at this. You can see immediately that these aircraft have all selected random destinations, and they're proceeding towards those random destinations pretty willy-nilly. Now, if I pause for a second, let's go ahead and add a new side. Again, these guys will do this all afternoon, by the way, which makes it totally fun to play with. We'll do USA, because why not? Go ahead and grab them real fast. Let's go over here and now put ourselves at TIPS 43, because that's the correct radar for everything. Let's go ahead and click on that sucker right there. We'll flip it on for a second. And you can see the lovely chaos we have created almost instantaneously, because now there's all these new targets flying through the air. And unfortunately, we don't track any of them. Now, some people, of course, say, when you're dealing with civilian aircraft, is there like a shortcut for tracking them? Like, obviously civilian aircraft have transponders. There actually is. If you go up to editor real quick and go to add edit size, on the USA, there's this little button, actually, it doesn't matter what side you're doing. It says, can auto track civilians. If you flip that switch, any aircraft that has the commercial tag will actually appear automatically for you. Now, the reason that's so fantastically useful for us is it's going to make them much, much easier to identify. And again, if the aircraft that you have in that particular case, it doesn't have that particular item, let me go double check that one more time. Yeah, we're auto tracking civilians. You want to keep that in mind that you won't get them. Otherwise, you will only pick up the ones that are detectable with that little kind of special flag. Especially things like ships, you'll be able to identify automatically there. One other thing I want to throw out too is that whenever you're dealing with civil sides, if we don't care about what they see, I really recommend you set their awareness level to blind, because it shuts off all their radar calculations. The reason that's so incredibly useful is now we don't have to deal with it. Those little, especially if you have 1,000 of these going at a time, None of those calculations are actually going to hurt us. We're still going to get their emissions so that we can identify them accurately. But like I said, we're not going to get that added piece. Enjoy.